Hello, Mud. This is Ray Bone, your lobbyist, and I'm here to give you another update. This is actually what we would consider the midpoint of the legislative session. Um the legislature has broken for a week to celebrate Easter and the Passover holidays, so they will not be meeting at all next week. So that gives some of us a chance to catch our breath and get caught up on a few things and maybe take a short break ourselves. So we certainly appreciate the break because it does give us a chance to catch up on our rest a bit. The it kind of it This time marks kind of the end of dealing with the policy bills, at least in a one by one format. We still have the environment policy bill to deal with, but it's the omnibus bill, so that's an overall bill. And we're certainly going to be watching that along the way. And also, they're just beginning now to work to lay out their omnibus finance bills. It's our understanding that the two finance committees, will be introducing those omnibus bills when they get back from break. They get back on the 6th. Actually, they start again on the 6th of April, and they've got to have them out of their committee by the end of that week, which I think is the 9th or so. So they got to have them out and sent to their full finance committees or appropriations committee. So anyway, Ways and Means, I guess, in House is what they call it now. So anyway, they're going to have to hurry, move things along when they get back. But frankly, they've been looking at all these bills for the past 3 months, so they have it pretty much in their mind, if not actually in writing right now, what they're going to be laying on the table for the committees to take a look at. The omnibus policy bill, one of them actually has passed out of their policy committee, and that's the Senate File 814, which is the Senate omnibus policy bill, and that has been passed on to the Senate Environment and Natural Resources full finance, not finance, Environment Committee, Environment Finance Committee. So they're going to be dealing with, I presume, that next week as well, and get that moving along. Um, the the policy bill, I think the one thing that is a major concern to us in that policy bill is the language dealing with the water storage legislation. Um, we we've been talking to legislators about it, and how it should be, we think, looked at a little bit longer. We don't want to create confusion between the storage bill and flood hazard mitigation, because one could argue it's to some degree one and the same. But anyway, we don't want it to interfere with that program. We don't want to rush into something that's going to cause a lot of confusion. So we're working on language. We're seeing if we can get some clarification before the bill reaches either the floor or the conference committee. The legacy bill, the first legacy bill came out of committee today in the House at 2:30 this afternoon, and that bill, they did have just a presentation today. One of the things that was in there was the amendment on the consolidation of watershed districts and SWCDs. We're a bit surprised by that. Frankly, we don't think that's probably ready for prime time yet. But there certainly has got to be some changes made if they want to pursue that. I think there's an issue about who conducts the actual study, consolidation study. We believe it's just about a conflict for Bowser to do that, because they're our partner agency, so we don't think they're an appropriate agency to look at that, and we would hope that we can talk to the legislature if they do want to proceed with it to put in a more independent group to really look at that whole issue. You know, they start off by saying, well, you know, it's completely voluntary, the consolidation would be, but that's famous last words, because eventually, if it starts out voluntarily, you can be sure then it's just a matter of time. It's one way or another, you're going to be forced into it. They did appropriate $263,000 for a study, so it would be pretty appropriate, I think, to farm that out to a contractor like the Humphrey Institute or another group that really could look and give some serious policy considerations of that issue, and kind of leave the politics out of it. So we're going to continue. We are going to work on that one. Nothing has happened in the Senate on that bill. It wasn't even introduced in the Senate. So I think we can make some headway in the Senate. The Senate legacy bill has not been laid out yet, so my guess is that will happen when legislators return from the break. Taxes, we did. I think I told some of you in our legislative briefing. We did talk to Representative Marquardt, who is chair of the Taxes Committee in the House, and has typically been a very good friend of Watershed Districts. Has helped us with a number of issues relating to flood hazard mitigation and those sorts of things. But he, when we talked to him, he indicated that he really there is no interest in raising any property tax issues, and he said his committee would not ever agree to pass that this year. So with that in mind, we also did talk to the Senate Property Tax Committee Chair, Senator Weber, and he didn't express any support for working on that this year, put it that way. So again, we're going to work to get them introduced, to get a bill introduced, and that bill will reflect the present value of the $225,000, which will be around $375,000. So it would be an increase from $250 to $375. So anyway, we will get those introduced before the end of session, and what we'll do then is use those as we talk to our individual legislators over the summer and fall, and really try to impress upon them the need for this additional increase. And it only brings us back to our buying power from 2001, which was about a 32% decrease in buying power. Our watershed authority bill, which was introduced to deal with some of the issues we're having with the counties on drainage authority, was heard in the House. It was laid over for possible inclusion in the Environment Finance Committee bill. I doubt if it's going to be in there. I think what the legislature or what the chair wanted us to do, Chair Hansen, is use it as a way to surface the issues that are frankly we need to work on with the counties, and then sit down with the counties and see if we can come to some resolution as drainage authorities on some of those issues. You know, when you're refusing to even tell watershed districts how much is in a drainage ditch fund from a ditch that was transferred to the watershed district, those are issues we shouldn't have to be talking to the counties about or quibbling about. You know, that's pretty obvious stuff that should be happening, and right now it's not, and no one seems to have any authority to deal with it, which is even more perplexing, and I don't frankly understand. So we're going to do some work on this, and hopefully we can get some of those issues, which I've been hearing about since 1995 when I joined MAUD, some of these same kind of issues and horror stories dealing with newly acquired ditching and things like that. So anyway, that is pretty much where we're at right now. After the break and legislators return to the Capitol, it's going to be very fast and furious, and they got to get the bills out. They got to get them through the full finance and committees, and then they got to get them on the floor. And they got to pass them on the floor. One thing we do not know is how the bill is going to be. The finance and policy bill in the House is going to be constructed, because that is a finance and policy committee all in one, where the Senate has two different committees, one for policy and one for finance. So what we're going to have to do is see, hopefully those bills, they got to come together somehow, and hopefully they will work that out before they start passing all those bills. If they don't, it becomes even more challenging, to say the least. But with that, one of the things that, for those of you that didn't hear Chair Hansen, the Environment Committee Finance Chair, when he spoke with us at the legislative briefing, it was his almost assumption that they were going to be there until June 30th. There's a couple of large overlying issues. One has to do with the Clean Waters air emissions, Clear Cars auto emission rulemaking that MPCA is doing. They want to take the California standards and put them into law through rulemaking. The Republicans in the Senate and in the House are adamantly opposed to that. They don't think that's the way you ought to be making rules. It's just adopting by reference, basically, another state's laws or rules. So anyway, what's happening is that fight actually is left over from last year. So we're kind of right back where we left off last year at the end of session, when they didn't pass a Senate bill, a finance bill. So anyway, what we have to do is we have to see if they can figure that out, and that's a big issue. And the other one is our emergency powers, the governor's emergency powers. The governor basically has been able to stiff arm the legislature on that emergency rulemaking, because he has the power as long as the Democrats in the House stay with him, and they don't seem to be inclined to force the governor to take away his powers, basically. So the only option then the Republicans have for leverage is the budget. They have not threatened yet to not agree to a budget as long as the governor won't give up those rulemaking emergency powers. But that's the next thing coming down the pike, probably. And this is the last time in probably 2 years they'll have any leverage to deal with that issue. And I think they're going to use it to the maximum. And I don't know how far that goes. I don't know if that goes into the S word, the shutdown, or what. I mean, no one knows. Hopefully they can get that settled before the 1st of July. So we hope, but as you know, I know I've been around for several shutdowns, so they happen, and it throws everything in a real turmoil at that. So with that good news, I'm going to break away and say good night to everyone, and hope you have a very glorious Easter and Passover, and we hope that that you all stay well wear your mask. We'll talk to you later. Thank you very much.